Very cool. So awesome that she brought up this model because it's something that we all use on our regular daily lives, and it's something that we really should be aware of. Now, just by looking at this model, you might already have an idea as to what this is. But to take away all of the curiosity, let's dive into it. Because again, whether you know this or not, I promise you, I guarantee you, you, your family, your friends, associates, business partners, everyone, if you're human, you're living by one of these rules on the consistent basis. So what does this all mean? Let's start from the right. People that live in this model, basically all that means is that emotionally, they're constantly going to one of the four. And we are all the four at different periods of our life, at different times. The question is the model working for you during that given specific moment? For example, someone who wants to be comfortable all the time just says, hey, I'll sacrifice working hard. I'll sacrifice doing something new. As long as I feel comfortable, then that's cool. And then I feel good about myself, feel good about whoever I'm around. Challenge. People that always want to be comfortable rarely go after something big in life. They rarely go after the need or the necessity of building new skills. They usually don't excel very far in terms of like how their life changes over 5, 10, 15 years. They're usually the people who are that in high school or college, and then you don't see them for 20 years, and you come back and you're like, oh, wow, you're living in the same place, you might still be with your parents, same job, same everything, nothing's really changed. Now for some people that's great, and that's how some other people tend to feel stuck. So there is pros and cons to everything, right? People that need to be liked, we'll move on to this one. People that need to be liked are usually the ones who, when you meet them, they're very nice, they're friendly, they're agreeable. They're the ones that you can talk to, and you can say to yourself, wow, he or she is just really, really nice. So the good thing is that they're generally people that you can just get along with. Challenge. People that need to be liked, and that they make that their priority personality trait, and they don't shift during certain times, especially when it's challenging. Oftentimes, they're the people who also don't share their opinion very much. So sometimes they'll end up feeling stepped on. Sometimes they'll feel unappreciated. Sometimes they're the ones who, to your face, they're like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, you're right. And they'll go to a different group of friends with a totally different opinion, and they'll be like, yeah, you know what? I think you're right. So taking their opinion on something, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's hard to decipher if that's really what they meant. And which also means that if you need a solid opinion about something, they might not be the people to go to. Okay? Switching over. The people that need to be right. These are usually managers. They're people that usually are in managerial positions, or they live their life as some sort of manager role, whether that's managing their friends when they go out to parties, events, or where they're in the workplace and they're always telling people what to do, what they think is right, what they think is wrong. These people are great. People who need to be right are usually at some level, good at getting things done. Challenge. If they don't learn to get out of that during certain critical times, oftentimes they'll choose the need to be right over the need to build communication and friendship. Sometimes a person who wants to be right all the time, they'll lose love because their need to be right matters more than loving that person, than understanding that person, than appreciating that person. The person who always needs to be right also tends to get into arguments all the time because they're not usually open to different perspectives. So it's usually, I guess what you classify as a win-lose. I need to be right. That means you need to be wrong. It's usually that perspective. And I'm saying usually because it's none of these are 100%, okay? Humans tend to change often. So just make a note, okay? And the last one is where we essentially want to be, where we want to live in, especially when we're dealing with situations where it's tough, it's critical, the communication's hard, we're not getting along with the person that we're speaking to, but we want to. The win-win mentality basically says, hey, you know what? I want to be right. I want what I want. But I also want to find in this communication a way for you to get what you want. And it might not be the thing that we're both discussing in this moment, but maybe if we can find some sort of agreeable ground where we can kind of either level it up or level it down a little bit, if we can both agree on something, then we're both winning. So that means I win, but you win too. I get what I want, some version of it, but you also get some version of what you want as well. So it's not win-lose. And they usually come from an honest opinion. A place where they're trying to be honest enough to say, like, this is just me being authentic, being real. But I'm also being real in a way where I'm thinking about you too. This matters a lot. Like if you can, take a screenshot of this or grab a piece of paper, draw this out for yourself. The reason why it's important is because anytime that you're communicating with someone else, two questions should come up. Okay, if you really want to get good at this, in order to improve not only your communication with other people, but with your ability to control your own negative feelings, whether it's anger or sadness or guilt or hurt or anxiety or depression, whatever it is. If you want to improve your negative emotions, you got to know how you're showing up. Right? That's how we have to know. It's a version of us learning about ourselves. The better you know yourself and how you function, the better you can control yourself and show up in situations where you can be your best versus just kind of showing up and however you show up is however you show up, right? The win-win attitude basically says what I just said previously, and the way they do that is they do this. A win-win mentality will say to themselves, okay, I don't always need to be right, but I don't want you to be wrong either. The win-win mentality says, okay, we might not agree at this level, but there's got to be something in this conversation that we both can agree with. The win-win mentality says, hey, you know what? I don't need to be 60, 40, 70, 30. I could be 49, you 51, and a part of me might be okay with that, as long as we both feel happy about the agreement, the arrangement. A more practical way to do this is, one of our clients was talking about this the other day, where she was saying, you know, my spouse always says to me that he hates it when I do this. And I hate that because every time he says that to me, I just feel like he doesn't appreciate me. He doesn't care. Well, in that context, what I did is I looked at her and I basically asked her, I said, okay, well, how does that make you feel? She said, well, as I said, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel cared for. And then I drew this out for her and I said, okay, which one of these are you showing up as? And instantly she realized, she's like, oh, I'm this one. I have to be right. And I said, okay, so if you have to be right, remember your partner is building their personality, their persona, based on the people they spend most of their time with, you being one of them. So if you are showing up as I always need to be right, how do you think he's probably showing up? And she was like, oh, well, I guess I have to be right. He has to be right too. And then she kind of went, she kind of like snapped out of it. She went back. She went, no, but you don't understand. You don't understand. I was actually right during that time. He was being really unreasonable. He didn't understand me. He didn't appreciate what I was doing for him. Then I said to her, I said, okay, well, is there a way that you can express that to him without making him wrong? Let me say that again. Is there a way that you can express what you just said to him without making him feel wrong, without making him feel like a piece of crap, like he screwed up, like he messed up? Is there a way that you can communicate to him? Is there a way you can communicate that to him where he still has his confidence intact? He still has his good intentions intact? Because really what happened is that what she heard was that I don't appreciate what you said or what you're doing. What he actually was trying to say was, hey, you know what? I'm so glad you're doing this, but is now the right time? And I think it was because they had to leave, they had something else they had to do, and for some reason she just stopped and started doing house chores. But they were on crunch time. There was an appointment they had to get to, so he was getting frustrated. Like, why do you have to do this now? You know? Now, of course, it's easy for us to say, hey, he should have just stepped up. He should have just like spoke to her in a better way. He should have this, and that. And you know what? You are right if you're saying that. You know, there's a mentor out there, I forgot his name, but he says, in any of those situations, you are 99% right and you are 100% wrong. Let me say it again. You are 99% right if that's the way you're thinking, but you are 100% wrong. You know why he says that? You know what that means? He says, you're 99% right because you're absolutely right. He could have talked to you better. He could have explained things better. Your partner could have been more understanding towards you and your needs, for sure. But you're 100% wrong because if you hang on to that way of thinking, it makes you feel good in the moment, makes you feel right, justified, assured, confident. I'm the right person here. But what does that do for the macro of your life? What does that do for the duration of your life, for the time that you spend with that individual? How does that make your future better? Well, it doesn't. All it does is it's rinse and repeat. If you hang on to that belief system, guess what happens in the future? That same or similar scenario will come up. You'll argue and you'll fight again. And then all of a sudden, you go into your future again, another incident comes up, same problem, similar problem, same outcome. So let me ask you, if you're in that place where you're feeling constantly negative, where emotions just blow up like that, where something small could arise and you just scream or yell or you freak out or you just don't show up the way you really want to, ask yourself, why does that keep happening? It keeps happening because it's a reoccurring situation where the emotions are being triggered the same way. And the negative emotions are being triggered the same way because the way we're showing up hasn't changed. If you want your life to be better, if you want your situations to be better, if you want a better outcome with the people you talk to, it's okay to say they have to change. But if you always point out, then you're 100% wrong. Because all you're doing is you're giving all your power away to that person, allowing them to control the way you feel. You deserve better than that. Don't you? You get one life. I saw this video from Eddie Murphy. He's like, the average person gets 75 years. 75 years, he says, 75 years to be alive. Kind of paraphrasing here, but that's essentially what he said. He's like, you get 75 years. So what are you going to do with those 75 years? Because they go by quick. And I'm saying that because the moment I heard that video, I was like, whoa, I'm just having this realization that I probably will live longer. But if there's a chance I've only got 75 years, I'm 46 right now. And I realized that. I was like, oh, shit. That doesn't leave me with a lot of time. That does not leave me with a lot of time to do all the amazing things I want to do with my life, with the amazing people I want to do it with. And I'm taking that mindset. I'm now passing that on to you. Do you want to be 99% right but 100% wrong? Where you're giving your power away, you are justified to feel the way you feel, but you're 100% wrong because it's not making your life better. It's just making you worse, and it's going to make you spiral down this chain of negative where you might be feeling so low you don't even know how to get out of it. Is that really where you want your life to be, your communication to be, your relationships to be? Or do you want to learn how to shift that into something more usable, more tangible in terms of getting what you want while helping that person get what they want? So when I explained that to my client, I said to her, I said, look, if you're showing up as right all the time and it's not getting you what you want, well, which one of these might, I'm obviously I'm pointing the obvious here, okay? But I had to play with it a little bit. So I said, which one of these four do you think might help you get more of what you want? And at first she's resistant. She's like, no, I gotta be right. I'm like, okay, you gotta be right. It's fine. How's that working out for you so far, though? Oh, she didn't like that. After she gave me the stink eye for about 10, 20 seconds, then she calmed down and she said, okay, you know, I got to learn to be this person. I got to learn to be this person right here. So I said, okay. So now she shifts over to win-win. And then I simply asked her this. I said, what is something? Okay, use this for yourself. I hope you're making notes on this because this stuff is life-changing. It's not enough to learn it. You got to go and do it, right? Practice it. So I asked her, what's something that both you and your partner, your spouse, your husband, what's something about this situation that at least you both can agree on? Not get what you want in this moment of now, but just within the context of this situation, what is something that you could assume that you and him could both say, yeah, you know, we can both agree to that. And she thought for a second, and she realized, you know what? I could have just told him that the reason why I started doing dishes was because I was just nervous to go. I think if I told him, then maybe he'd still be a little bit upset, but way less upset. Because at least he knows why I'm doing it. Bingo. And then I asked her, I said, okay, so if you say that to him, I want you to imagine this. What kind of a response do you think you might get back? And she stands for a second and she goes, well, I don't know. I think he might still be pissed off or annoyed, but I'm pretty sure he'd be a little more understanding. And I looked at her and I said, isn't that what you just asked for? You just said that he didn't get you. He didn't understand you. He didn't appreciate you. Actually, that was more of what she said. He didn't appreciate you. But for him to appreciate you, doesn't that mean that he partially has to understand you at some level too? And she was like, yeah, Alan, I guess you're right. I kind of looked at her like, hey, I don't want to be right here. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to help you get what you want with your spouse. All right? This is what it's all about. It's not about me. It's about you two. I'm just trying to help. And she's like, no, I'm kidding. Of course. Had I just told him how I felt, then I wouldn't have felt so much pressure. That's what she's telling me. If I just told him how I felt, then at least I wouldn't feel so much pressure. So even if he did continually get upset, well, that's on him. But at least he understands where I'm coming from, so he can choose on how to respond versus me just get mad. Because when he got mad, I got mad. He didn't even know why I was getting mad. He thought I was just being unreasonable, as she explains. So in a nutshell, in closing, this is how using this framework is so powerful. It's so powerful in helping us understand ourselves better. Because when we show up in a situation and we're not getting the outcome that we want, we're not getting the communication that we want, the response that we want, the first thing we always got to ask ourselves is, how am I showing up? Am I trying to be comfortable when a pressure situation? Am I trying to be liked when my opinion really matters? I'm at the board meeting, there's millions on the table, and I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be liked by the president or by the CEO. But that could cost the company millions. Am I just trying to be right? Am I just trying to be right? Like, I don't care how much the company costs. I don't care how much they win or lose. I got to be right. My opinion's got to be on the table. Or even with your kids, right? Yeah, this is probably more relatable to the kids. I just had this conversation with my daughter the other day about the need to be right. Or do we get to show up as a win-win? Where maybe we don't get the initial thing that we wanted in that moment, but we get something that we want that's in relation to what they want, and it keeps the harmony, the connection, the sustainability of that connection relationship with the person that we care about, that we love, who we don't want to lose in our life, which could be your daughter, it could be your son, could be your husband, wife, Could be your best friend, partner, whatever. Those people matter to us. And the one thing we shouldn't be doing, in my opinion, for whatever it's worth, the one thing we shouldn't be doing is putting the need to be right as more important than the need to help them win too, while we win to sustain that relationship. In closing, I want to close off with this thought. Most of us have been raised to believe that we should always have our opinion, that people should hear us, they should see us, we should be heard, people should give us some respect. And in the initial days, that matters. But eventually, when we've gotten to that phase, there is that next phase, which is the need to be heard, the need to be respected, the need to be appreciated. While at the same time, those positive feelings that we get, we also find a way to communicate it. So not only do we get it, but the person we're talking to can feel some level of those emotions too. And I'm talking about emotions because emotions is the driver to action or inaction. Emotions is the thing that says, hey, I'm with you or I'm leaving. I'm in or I'm out. You're my best friend or you're my freaking enemy. I want to know you or I got to get away from you. Emotions is the core of every single interaction we have with people. And if we can acknowledge that those emotions constantly exist, they never go away. And if we can pay attention to how we're feeling when we show up and how other people are feeling, I'm telling you, the ability to connect with the people who really matter to you goes in 10 levels deep. And that bond that you're trying to create, if that's what you're trying to do, with those who matter, it becomes not glue, it becomes liquid cement. What I mean by liquid cement, I mean, it becomes so strong that even if you do a major screw up, it barely dents the relationship. Major screw up as in like you overreact, like, don't do something crazy, don't try to kill somebody or something. I don't mean like that. But like yesterday, in closing, real quick, I said that 3 times already. I literally mean in closing. I had a disagreement with my daughter yesterday. We're at the dinner table. We're talking about something, and she was talking about something that I did not agree with. And we went back and forth, and I was actually starting to raise my voice. The guy teaching you, Alan, shame on you, buddy. What are you teaching me this stuff for? I never said we're perfect. I said we got to learn this stuff so even when we screw up, we learn how to make up for it, right? Let me be fully transparent here. I'm not perfect. I'm not. But I'm constantly aware of myself during the critical times when it matters the most of the time. So we get into a disagreement about something at the dinner table. We're in front of we're right in the middle of a restaurant, and I start raising my voice. And in the middle of that, I catch myself. Shit, I'm raising my voice. Oh shit. Not oh shit, like because I'm embarrassed of other people. Maybe partially that too, but more embarrassed of myself because I don't want to lose this relationship I built with my daughter. So at the end, I look at her and I'm just like, I'm realizing she's just in her shit right now. I just have to give her that space. So you know what I said? I looked at her and said, kiddo, I call her kiddo, right? Kiddo, you know what? You're right. That's the way you feel. That's the way you feel. I get it. You're right. And as I looked at her, I looked at her mom, and I gave her mom that look like, oh man, I wish this kid got it. Like, no, I'm not putting her down. It's just she was saying something that to me made me believe that she's limiting her capabilities. She's looking at herself as something small versus what she's truly capable of. I look for that in every person, especially my daughter. Come on, it's my daughter. So I gave her that in the moment. And you know what? Roll this conversation back to 2020 when we're just like butting heads all the time. I guarantee you that exact same incident would have led to her getting angry, to me getting angry, to her saying, I need to take a walk, and darting out the door and being gone for an hour because she just couldn't stand the sight of being near me. We went from that to what happened yesterday. She went quiet. I went quiet. We both took 5, maybe 10 minutes to just eat our food, calm down. I'm talking to her mom. And then somewhere near the end of dinner, we just look at each other. Then we just pick up. Like beautiful, not put it under the rug, not pretend it didn't happen. I don't mean like that. I mean, where we looked at each other and I could honestly, sincerely feel this emotion from her, like almost like her saying, "Oh, Dad, I didn't mean it like that." Now, of course, I'm guessing, Alan, how do you know? Are you a wizard? Are you a wizard, Alan? No, I'm not a wizard. I'm just learning. I'm trying to learn my daughter here, right? Like, I don't know. I'm guessing. But here's why I guess this. Here's why. At the end of dinner, paid the bill, packing up our stuff. And I got this big heavy bag. It's my gym / work. I got my clothes in there, my big water bottle. It's heavy as hell, probably 25 pounds, give or take. I'm guesstimating here, but it's heavy. My daughter's like this. She's not that big. She's not that tall. Little shorty person. It's cute. She walks over as I'm about to reach over for my bag, and she looks at me and she goes, Dad, no, it's okay. I got it. Such a subtle little thing. But what was she really trying to say in that moment? My guess is that she was trying to say, Dad, I'm still here for you. I'm still your little girl. We still got this thing. We still got this connection. We still got a bond. There's still trust here. You're still important to me. Because I got to tell you something. My daughter don't pick up nothing for nobody. No. She's in her 20s. She's in that phase in her life where, guys think she's cute. She's used to being pampered. Oh, hey, oh my God, you're so pretty today. Oh, why, thank you very much. Like, hey, she's in that phase. Okay, don't judge her. If you're judging her, if you're not judging her, cool. But if you're judging her, come on. We've all been at that level in our teens or something. She's just loving it now in her 20s, right? So she's in that place where she's constantly being pampered. So for her to come around the table, to grab my bag, it's heavy as hell. She knows it too. And she looks at me, she's like, no, Dad, it's okay. Let me get that for you. I got it. That one action alone says so much. And it wasn't a look at me like, it wasn't like a, Dad, I got it. No, it was a sincere like, Dad, no, it's okay. I got you. Those little moments when you come from a place of total disconnect as a parent, it really hits home. And I'm not bumping my chest like, yeah, look at me, I'm the man. I don't mean it that way. I mean, this is a testament to utilizing this model and constantly doing a self-check. The more that we are aware of how we show up in our communication with anybody, the more we can sustain that bond, that connection with them, even when conversations go in a landslide, even when things don't go right, even if we don't agree. Get enough of these, and you can afford to make some mistakes. Get enough of these. Learn to be this kind of person. And the people who really matter to you will always be by you. And that's a gross generalization. Sometimes they won't. But I believe the majority of them will, because this is a rare human being. These days, not everybody wants to think this way. So, I now am taking this mindset, this capability, this skill, and I'm passing this on to you so you can get the freedom, the satisfaction, the happiness, the fulfillment of knowing that when you go to bed at night, the people that matter to you not only love you, but they're there. They think of you. They value you. They appreciate you. They want to be with you. They want to spend time with you, however, whenever they can. Because you are someone who brings something into their life that most other people won't. You learn to be that kind of person, my God, you never feel like you're alone. Because you know at the end of the day, there's always people out there that make you feel loved. Because you're sharing love with them. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to both Helen and myself. If you got any questions or comments, please feel free to leave it down below. We're always open to sharing, as transparent as we can be. Happy to take these times on a Saturday to connect with you. And we're looking forward always to showing up and sharing with you at our next live event. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later. Bye for now.